God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move into our roll call and conflict of interest check. Trustee Nolte.
Here and none.
Trustee Abbott.
Here and none.
Treasurer Metz.
Here, none.
Clerk Stambuelis.
Here none.
Trustee Sanders.
Here none.
Trustee Sickinga.
I have none.
And Supervisor Scott, here and none. We'll now move into approval of the agenda. Are there any edits, additions, or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Nolte, seconded by Abbott. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes. And we'll move into our first call for public comment. If you'd like to make public comment, please come up to the microphone, make sure it's on. State your name and address for the record, and then please limit any comments to 3 minutes or less.
Good evening. My name is Chandra Hurd. I reside at 5300 McGinnis Road. I currently serve on the Township Planning Commission and previously served as the chair of the short-term rental committee. I'm also a former land use planner, so I'm kind of coming here tonight with a lot of different hats on, including a resident. Tonight you have before you a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding the short-term rental zoning amendments. I was actually one of the 2 Planning Commission members that voted against the recommendation. In my view, the recommendation was not sufficiently thought through. It didn't align with the original position of the short-term rental committee. And honestly, it felt like we were simply shifting the STRs to zoning districts that were least likely to accommodate them. After several productive discussions with our short-term rental committee and careful consideration of public feedback, it was really clear that there are numerous concerns regarding the short-term rentals, ranging from the environmental issues, especially with our lakes and the rivers, our watersheds, the neighborhood nuisance concerns. There are a lot of those, which you are well aware of. The financial implications and enforcement challenges. And although some of these concerns could be mitigated with code regulations, many felt that the standard of the required enforcement really wasn't attainable without a cost to the taxpayers. And that's the one thing the committee did not want, is any cost to the taxpayers. You know, I've watched the last 2 board meetings. I've noticed that while questions continue to arise, there isn't a true sense of consensus on the matter yet. And honestly, that's not surprising. It's a really complex issue. The master plan doesn't support accessory dwelling units used as short-term rentals. It does support agritourism, which is basically adding that consumer-friendly aspects to operational farms. Agricultural activities could potentially benefit from short-term rentals by drawing in visitors. In that sense, you could argue that the master plan has some level of indirect support for short-term rentals. You know, at the same time, we're a community that wants to pride ourselves in welcoming people. Our visitors often support our local businesses like roadside stands, farmer markets, and events. But it's important to note that the master plan does not support commercial uses in residential districts, and the zoning ordinance prohibits them. Which raises the question, do short-term rentals as a commercial use align with the master plan's objectives? Probably not, as a direct result. However, you can legally rent your home for 31 consecutive days. The difference between what's legal and what's illegal is 1 day when you define that short-term rental as anything rented 30 days or less. At 31 days, you're fine. You can also rent your home for the summer season, for the winter season. You can rent a bedroom, same way, as long as it's more than 30 days. So there are still ways to rent your property and make money. which is what the STR owners really want to do. Overall, the master plan really isn't clear, and it should be. I recommend at this time that you do not adopt a short-term rental ordinance. You should have clear guidance and support from the master plan and a clear plan for enforcement, which is what's lacking right now. I wish you a lot of luck on tonight's deliberation. It's a big decision, and I'm confident you'll make the right one for the township.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Additional public comment. It should be on now. Yep.
I'm actually speaking on behalf of Ginny Morgan and Joe Spiegel, who asked me if I could do this for them tonight. They really did want to be here. Joe has COVID.
Oh,
Joe's note specifically says, we would like the moratorium lifted. We agree that much of this should go back to the planning commission. We will help prepare some simple enforcement protocol involving sending of letters. We will also help get the word out to the community that STRs are not legal at this time. And he just loved to tell you he's very sorry.
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, one more thing. Ginny and I would like there to be an anonymous tip line. He's was an attorney in securities exchanges, and he said anonymous tip lines are key. People don't want to face retaliation from neighbors when they make the complaint.
Additional public comments?
Jonathan Cromberg from 1998, that's Picnic Road. But sitting here listening last week or last month, and then also today a little bit, you know, I understand the environmental impact within these things, but at the end of the day, it is a public lake. And we're not talking about, you know, thousands of homes that are going to be affected within this. And the regulations that I'm sure will be put into place is going to also ensure that those houses that are being affected in short term are brought up to a specific code. The second one that I noticed was never really discussed. I know Putnam was discussed last time, but was Hamburg Township. And Hamburg Township, which we're, you know, right next to, they do offer short-term rentals with these. So I understand that, you know, you can rent past, you know, over 30 days, but the idea behind things like this for somebody new like us is the fact that we can help supplement the days that we are able to make it here, especially with youth sports and kids taking you all away from the lake to not be able to enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I think from our side of it, we've already put in rules and regulations, want to be friendly with the neighborhood. But I think it also would just make sure that we also consider what Hamburg Township has done too. And then last but not least is, you know, as I said last time, I thank all the time that they spent on the subcommittee, you know, recommend something. But when the recommendation did come back and they would approve it for these like communities, I mean, you're basically telling them that that was a big waste of time now, because that's what it was. They approved it. They were the ones that spent the most time doing it. But also just sit there and say, well, no, we're gonna kind of railroad this and say, don't agree with it. It's just the, you know, from the outside perspective, this is how it looks. So I know there's gonna be some battle no matter which way it goes, but I'm just saying, in our opinions, looking at what are, you know, communities that are directly around us that they should be able to do, and also increasing the property values behind these things and cleaning up some of the places that we all know is kind of in desperate need of some additional renovation. So good job.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Hello, my name is Scott Spade, 1998, that's a big move. Jonathan and I were the same property. The one thing I haven't heard from everybody keeps saying that there's a problem with noise and nuisance and all that, and not a single person brought any police reports to actually showcase how many noise complaints you get from these short-term rentals. So I'd like to see that, because we've had these conversations last time, we heard it today, there's no evidence backing it. And we've been on this lake for 2 years. Neighbors that live here come down with more noise than the renters that come in. Another things about the environmental, like Jonathan said, it's a public lake. There's a marina that rents boats, people can bring their own boats, launch them in the water. If you really truly worry about environment, make it private. And then that's also a problem, but trying to say that short-term rentals are gonna be the problem causing environmental issues while you have an open lake that anybody can bring their boat, that doesn't make sense. And also the people that rent the lake, they're not gonna bring their own boats, because if they have boats, then they live close to a lake, they have their own lakes to go to. A lot of people that rent these properties, they don't have boats, they would come and enjoy the lake, and they still have the option to rent the boat from the marina as well. Yeah, those are the two main points I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional public comments? All right, hearing none, we will move on in the agenda to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by trustee Sickinga. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Sanders. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We will now go into or call a vote to go into closed session. To go into closed session, we need a 2/3 majority of a roll call vote to enter into closed session under MCL 15.267 to consult with our attorney on specific pending litigation. So is it?
I'm sorry. I think the reason we're going in is to discuss an attorney-client communication
Oh,
under 81H.
sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
I wrote down the wrong one.
Yep, that's all right. So the motion would be motion to enter into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268(1H) to discuss a written communication from your attorney.
15, I just want to make sure I get it right. 15.268(1H). Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session to discuss a privileged attorney-client communication pursuit under MCL 15.268.1H.
It's been moved by trustee Sickinga. Is there a second?
Support.
It's been seconded by clerk Stambuelis. We'll move into a vote, or is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. It is a roll call vote. Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
trustee Abbott,
Yes.
treasurer Metz,
Yes.
clerk Stambuelis,
Yes.
trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga.
Yes.
And Supervisor Scott, yes. So we will now move into closed session. Yep, we're gonna ask everyone in the room to just step outside to the lobby for a little bit. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move back to public session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Nolte and seconded by treasurer Metz to move back to public session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries, and we will move back into public session. Going on to action items, the acceptance of financial transactions. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve,
What?
Don't we have to make a motion to approve what we just talked about in close?
So that when we get to it.
It's on the,
but-
yeah.
Oh, it's
later
on
on
the
the
next one.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I was gonna make a motion to accept the financial transactions.
All right, it's been moved by trustee Sickinga. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Metz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. We'll now move into the budget amendment for elections. You have a couple of different supplemental items in front of you, all saying the same thing. I will let Clerk Samuelis talk about the amendments if she would like to.
Okay, so, sorry, I want to get on the right page here. What page am I on?
It was a separate.
Alrighty, so in the board packet, there is the 2026, for year 2026 approved budget that was for the May Dexter Community Schools election that was approved by the board. And also in the packet on page 30 was, or is, and I don't have this in front of me, just one moment, sorry.
You can use.
Is the four-year 2026 amendment for the WISD, which is the Washtenaw Intermediate School District election. Supervisor Scott did go ahead and give us a supplemental paper stating, just for clarification, that the 2026 approved was for the Dexter Community Schools. The additional proposed election expenses are what will be necessary to run the November 5th, 2026 election coming up. And for the fiscal year 2026, the full amendment to the budget would be the 44,900. I just wanted to make sure it was very clear for the board and for the community and for both schools that have carried the elections to see what these elections will cost, because Dexter Community Schools, of course, did reimburse their portion. But so WISD didn't have confusion with seeing the 44,900. I just wanted that clarification. I don't anticipate spending this much. Elections can be dependent on the postage rate. Of course, we're going to need more election workers for the upcoming election because precinct 2 will be involved in this election. So, but I don't anticipate going over, or it will be under.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a supplemental appropriation for elections to add $24,800 to the approved elections appropriations.
It's been moved by Trustee Sickinga. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Treasurer Metz. Any discussion? Does anyone have any questions? Trustee Sickinga.
So Michelle, I know that we have not had great success getting those reimbursements from the state, right?
We
but-
did have one that was not reimbursed.
So do you feel confident that these 2 elections will be reimbursed?
In my clerk's report, I did make a notation that we have already been reimbursed
Oh, okay.
for the election of May, Dexter Community School. So I don't anticipate there being an issue. And the counties involved in there, they're very, they make it very clear that this is a special election that is being conducted and compensated through the community. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. Since this is a budget amendment, I will do a roll call. Trustee Sickinga.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Clerk Samuelis.
Yes.
Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Trustee Nolte.
Yes.
Supervisor Scott, yes. Motion carries. We'll now move into recommendations from the Planning Commission. The first is the request for ordinance amendment as requested by Amy and Jeffrey Bennett. And Fletcher, that is on page 53. Fletcher put together for us all of the information around that request. As a reminder, this is what started the conversation around short-term rentals. Amy and Jeffrey Bennett submitted this application, and so we are required to answer their request, which was to allow short-term rentals in Lake residential zoning districts, referencing the standards from Hamburg Township. Is there a motion? I'm sorry. And the recommendation from the planning commission was a negative recommendation. So to not accept the amendment as presented by Jeffrey and Amy Bennett. Did I state that correctly? Yes. All right.
I'll make a motion, not to decline to adopt the zoning text amendment consistent with the planning commission's recommendation.
I'll second.
It's been moved by trustee Sickinga, seconded by trustee Nolte.
And can I just add, can I say something about why I made that motion?
Yep.
Because what I understood you to say at our working session was that the motions before us are essentially not feasible in the sense that the motion, the regulations under consideration are narrowly defined such that virtually no one would be authorized to no one would be able to have a short-term rental, or very few residences would qualify. Is that correct?
I would say that's more in line with the other agenda item that we're going to address tonight with the second recommendation from the planning commission on the short-term rental zoning ordinance amendments. The Amy and Jeffrey Bennett application simply wanted to adopt the Hamburg Township regulations and to permit short-term rentals in Lake Residential. In the Lake Residential zoning district.
But did you assess what the real world impact of the Hamburg ordinance would be in Dexter Township?
Yes, with using the lot size requirements, there's not many parcels in the township that adhere to that.
And I think what I believe to your point, trustee Sickinga, is even if we adopted the Hamburg ordinance, Amy and Jeffrey Bennett's property would not qualify.
And very few other.
And very few others would qualify.
Including none or almost none of the current short-term rentals that are now in operation.
Correct.
So there's no point in passing a regulation that we might as well stick with what we have, because this has the same effect in a sense.
So for the first, I do want us, we have two agenda items and we're starting to conflate the two. So the first, but I understand your point. The first is to act on the planning commission recommendation, which was a negative recommendation to not adopt the changes that were requested by the Bennetts. And
Which
so
would be to adopt the Hamburg.
to adopt the Hamburg, yes, to not adopt the Hamburg ordinance as recommended by the Bennetts. It came to us as a recommended no from the planning commission. And so the board has to decide if we are accepting the planning commission's recommendation and opting to say no to that specifically. And that was the motion, right? That was your motion.
That was mine.
So Janice, can we restate the motion just so everyone knows do you have the language where would you like?
To not adopt the zoning text amendment requested by Jeffrey.
No, that's not what I said. I said the township board declines to adopt the zoning text amendment consistent with the planning commission's recommendation.
Declines to adopt. Okay. Consistent with the planning commission's recommendation. And we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. I am going to take a roll call vote for this. Trustee Nolte.
No. Or yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking, yes.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Clerk Stambuelis.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga. And Supervisor Scott, yes. So we will decline to adopt that and have said yes to the recommendation of the planning commission. Negative recommendations are a weird thing to talk about. It's like the double negative is a weird. All right, now we're moving into, also before the board is the short-term rental ordinance, which was a broader conversation. We had the short-term rental committee that came forward with a recommendation to the planning commission. And then we had a separate planning commission recommendation that came to the board, which is what we will address. The planning commission recommendation to the board was that we adopt short-term rentals and allow them only in the agriculture and commercial districts. At our work session, there were lots of other things that were discussed, but those are the things before us. So we have another recommendation from the planning commission that we allow short-term rentals in the agriculture and commercial districts. We can take a motion here, or we can, I actually think it's probably better to start in this one because it's a little more nebulous than an actual, it seems like the conversation was slightly different in the work session, that we could have discussion. And then if a motion comes from that, we could do that, as opposed to going through a cycle of different motions. But I'm open either way. If someone has a motion already, we can certainly address the motion first.
Well, the other items on the table have the same issue in the sense that very few properties would qualify. So the ordinance, proposed ordinance 44 or 45 or whatever it was also had numerous regulations that when applied in the real world would mean that very few properties would qualify, not enough to support zoning, not enough to enforce, to support enforcement, correct?
Right, so I think the main takeaway from the work session was that there's currently no operating short-term rentals that I was able to identify in the agricultural and commercial zoning districts. In that, if the board were to discuss extending that out to lake residential, the current standards in place would prohibit the vast majority of those properties to be used.
And the ordinance that was proposed, the ordinance language that was proposed by the short-term rental committee, which was declined by the planning commission, would also impose regulatory standards that would prohibit most residences from qualifying.
Sure. The lot sizes are certainly an issue in the lake residential districts, and adhering to the other requirements such as parking. Let's say the vast majority of properties around the lakes are legally non-conforming. Many of them do not meet the half-acre requirement for sewer and the acre requirement for septic.
Any other discussion? Or does anyone have a motion?
Are we gonna discuss after the motion? is
Yeah,
made?
we'll
That's
open
what I
that.
thought. Okay.
Do we need a motion do we need any other action by the board, or have we satisfied the requirements on the table right now?
I believe we still need to take action on the planning commission's recommendation around short-term rentals, one way or the other. And the other action that I would like to request of the board as we do this is a decision on the moratorium that the board set. So that we've made a decision completely for all of the items that we've addressed short-term rentals.
So didn't you just say that you'd like to have the discussion now before we made a motion, so we didn't make a bunch of motions? Is that, did I hear that?
But then I asked for more discussion and everyone looked at me.
I just feel like
silently.
trustee Sanders has something to say and I didn't want to have.
But
to
if it's
go
specific to a motion, that's fine too.
back and forth.
I'm open to how we conduct.
I thought we had to have a motion in order to have the discussion. So that's what I thought.
Well, in general, I open up discussion after we have a motion, but with this one, with no standardized motion to to go from. I wanted to make sure that if people had questions or other discussion, we could get to that. But let's move into a motion. Let's go back to our standard operating procedures, and I'll ask if there's a motion.
Well, I make a motion to decline to adopt the planning commission's recommendation to allow short-term rentals only in agriculture and commercial zones.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved by trustee Sickinga and seconded by trustee Nolte to not adopt the planning commission recommendation to allow short-term rentals only in agriculture and commercial districts. Did I restate that correctly? All right, discussion.
Why?
Why? Well, because again, it's just a very, like Chandra said also, I don't feel like there's kind of a fully fleshed proposal from the planning commission that says what the rules should be or why. There was a lot of talk about whether there's a cap on it. As Alicia pointed out, there was no cap. I don't think the planning commission really dived into that and then came to us with a fully fleshed proposal. So I don't like the proposal that's on the table. There's a couple things that I am interested in. One is this potentially expanding the definition of, I don't feel like anything on the table right now is going to be beneficial to the township. And I'm open to, if members of the board think that they want to have short-term rentals allowable in some cases, I would go back to the planning commission and ask them to give us something that would work better for us, such as expanding the definition, or to go to
Expanding the definition of what?
of bed and breakfast.
Okay, okay. I
Or-
was thinking that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Additional discussion?
Well, I want to say that planning commission started working on this in 2024. So
Yeah.
to say we didn't do a good job, or however you phrased it, is probably insulting to everyone on the planning commission and everyone who was on the short-term rental committee. So this has been an issue that has been discussed, researched. I mean, yeah, I feel that it has been given a lot of due diligence.
And I apologize to you, Alicia, and to anybody who heard it that way, because I wasn't at all saying that a lot of due diligence hadn't been done. I just mean that the very narrowly defined specific recommendation to allow it in ag and commercial areas is not, there isn't really a fleshed out proposal on the table for that. And I thought I was echoing some of the public comment on that, and so I do.
I just want everyone who's been working
I
on
do-
this for all these months.
Yes,
I mean, we started out in October 2024 with the Bennett's proposal, and I'm not trying to take us backwards, but we were handed something to decide on that their property literally just would not, even if we had passed that, they would have still been in the same situation they were, where they couldn't use their home as a short-term rental. They didn't have adequate off-street parking. There was a whole host of issues. So it's just, this is a complex issue. And, we might need to revisit the master plan and
I want to say again, I really appreciate all the work that you and the members of the committee and the planning commission have put into this.
Additional discussion? Trustee Sanders.
I'm not quite sure how to formulate put all my thoughts into words yet, but it seems to me, I agree that it feels really narrow. And one of the things I've been thinking about is like, how can we come up with an ordinance that allows for some approved rentals, especially ones that have been happening. I realize that people have been operating them without the township's consent. So, and we don't want to necessarily reward that, but at the same time, I think that it's been very confusing. There hasn't been a clear, there's not clarity about what one can do and what one cannot do. And there have been some people who have expressed that they've been doing, renting their properties in ways that their neighbors are happy with and approve of. and that they've been doing it for a long time. And I just feel like the all or nothing kind of does not feel, I feel like we can come up with something that is more nuanced and maybe more creative and allowing of some rentals. I don't believe that we should be allowing rentals that use Airbnb and Vermo and Venmo, or what, it's not Venmo, I know it's Verbo or something, but I don't think that we should be approving rentals that are big, kind of commercial, uh, commercial businesses. But I do, maybe it's about expanding the definition of bed and breakfast. Maybe it's about including these accessory dwellings as a part of an allowance. Maybe it's about grandfathering in a few rentals that have worked and the neighbors are positive about them. I just feel like even though a lot of work has happened on it, and I have a lot of respect for that, it feels so all or nothing.
Additional discussion?
Okay, so I definitely took my time reading all of the letters that came in and the emails. And I know a few of these people personally, so I know their properties. So I also want to make it really clear that while, and I was the one that actually stated that Portage Lake, yes, is open to, it's a open boat launch for anybody. It's an open lake where Silver Lake is not. So Silver Lake is a private lake. You can take, you know, your paddle boat or things without launching to that lake. And I also definitely understand and have paid more attention, which I've always paid attention, but understanding the consequences with the environmental damage that can occur from people that come and just visit the lake, have a great time, and then they leave. Where they leave any damage that happens with their props, with their boats, with, you know, contaminating the waters, with bringing in invasive species. So, but then on the other side, I know some of these properties, and while I see on Dexter Pinckney Road, the houses are very close together. There really is no ample parking, maybe a car or two if they have a driveway. But then there's other areas on North Lake that they have a full-fledged house. They have the big concrete driveway. They have a garage attached. So then there is that space. So I do understand, you know, people can conform with, you know, I feel similar to Trustee Sanders where, you know, and I'm not looking for, you know, to reward individuals that just want to come out into our area and purchase houses and just start renting them and making, you know, a full-fledged business where it's not community. But then I absolutely understand if, you know, if someone's just renting their property all season and those homeowners aren't there, do they really, you know, value their neighbors, you know, if things occur. So
Well, we can't write a different ordinance right now on the
Yeah.
fly that is going to address those matters. And that's why I was sort of saying, well, what if we wanted to open the door a little bit to certain limited use? I think we have to go back, we have to refer it back to a committee or something, because we can't sit here right now and write, because like Alicia pointed out, it's an incredibly complex matter and there isn't an obvious solution to it, so we can't.
I just wanted to,
Yeah.
after reading all of the emails that have came in, I just want to, I want to put that out there, that I paid attention. I've listened to everyone's concerns. I don't live on the lake, so I don't have those issues, but I also appreciated our workshop where the board was talking about maybe expanding the language for bed and breakfast, having the accessory buildings. And then that, to me, would give a sense of fairness to all of the communities in question, be it commercial, rural, residential, ag, or lake. So that's how I felt comfortable with having that compromise of,
So direct the planning department
Revisit.
to look at expanding the definition of bed and breakfast.
Is that,
Additional discussion.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
is what I'm hearing you to say is to say no to short-term rentals, but possibly opening planning back up to bed and breakfast concepts?
Expanding the definition of bed and breakfast to include, say, an ADU that's under the same roof or something, you know, I don't know what it would, I mean, that's where I say, I don't know. I mean, I think Fletcher, you said that we had a brief conversation about this, but you said that there are some municipalities that have an expanded definition of bed and breakfast that opens the door to, I feel like the complaints that I have heard pertain to, I mean, setting aside the environmental issues and all that, but when there's actual complaints about neighbor nuisances, it's when the owner is not present. So so having an expanded definition of bed and breakfast where the owner would always be present for the short-term rental might mitigate the nuisance issues. But I can't, and this is why I say we can't craft something on the fly right now, because we don't know whether that would mitigate the environmental impact. There are many impacts of short-term rentals. And so what we do know is that the proposals on the table, while they address all of the complex issues around short-term rentals, they would also exclude virtually everybody from operating one. So that says that these proposals on the table, yes, they're going to address the environmental issues, the nuisance issues, the safety issues, and so on. But we might as well just say no, because that's what the effect is.
Because nobody qualifies.
Because nobody qualifies. So then the question would be, well, if we took a more narrow definition of short-term rentals, i.e. to craft something where the owner must be present, would the negatives be mitigated by that? Would we feel okay about that? Because we are very clear that environmental impact is of paramount importance to the township. That's in everything. It's in the master plan, it's in our strategic plan, it's in every survey that comes in. We know that short-term rentals generally have an environmental impact, but we don't know what the environmental impact of an expanded B&B would be. It's just a proposal that we haven't looked at.
The other thing, if we do send it back to planning to outline and redefine bed and breakfast, I stand by, we have to have a financial. There is not a way currently for taxpayer money not to be used and have a short-term rental policy on our books. It's, we're talking so few people, and yet we're going to use tax dollars to support it. I cannot support that. And I feel the same way about bed and breakfast. It's a commercial business, and it needs to stand free financially, environmentally, in all ways. It cannot impose on others.
Right, that's another criteria that hasn't been assessed.
And right now, with the short-term rental concept that is there's so few that would qualify by the books. Financially, it doesn't work.
Additional discussion. I like to wait until after hearing other folks to speak last, but I came into this a year ago in October thinking, oh, this seems fairly easy. We should allow this, and it will allow people to come to our area. And we can just regulate it to make sure that it goes well. And this seems like a good thing. And then I spent a lot of time, first of all, being very deliberate about picking our committee to make sure that we had a wide range of opinions, to make sure that we got a lot of information from the short-term rentals committee. And boy, did we ever. We got a ton of information and a lot of opinions, which is great. And the more and more that I've dug into it, the more and more I have moved to the opinion that it is so nuanced and so only financially beneficial to the property owners that have them, that I agree with Trustee Nolte that there is no way in my mind that we could spend or should spend township tax dollars to encourage short-term rentals in that way, seeing them really as a commercial enterprise. So I feel like I have evolved from the entire time that we've been doing this to really seeing the impacts and thinking when we got I'll be honest, when I saw the short-term rental recommendations from the committee, I thought that was workable. And I thought, okay, these are good regulations. At least we'll have this in place. And then we find out that of the 13 that we currently have operating, none of them would meet those requirements. And so to me, like I said a few meetings ago, I think we owe it to the residents to be as clear as possible about this decision. There is a lot of ambiguity. I've been thankful for folks on both sides of the issue having the patience to work through the entire process. But I don't feel like we have anything before us that gets it right. One, in a way that protects township tax dollars, and two, that protects the interests of the folks even that currently have them. And so to me, I think we owe it to the residents to do a couple of things tonight. One is to say no to the proposal that was before us, which effectively, as I've said before, and I apologize, I don't mean this to sound like a slight towards anyone who's worked on it, which is essentially a no in effect, right? We know that it would prevent anyone really from having them, even if that wasn't the intent. And I would definitely be open, and I said this during the work session, to figuring out ways and trying to be creative to think through these policies for the future. I think as we look at a master plan revision, one of the things I mentioned at the work session is I would be okay with exploring the opportunity of putting a future land use of commercial zoning in some of the areas around our lakes, so that folks know that eventually that could be a commercial operation that would allow rentals around the lakes in certain areas, but that's a long-term plan, not something that we're launching into with things that are already existing, that were existing against our current ordinance. I mean, I can't say that enough. Our current ordinance does not allow them. So the argument to me that that they were operating falls a little flat to me, because they shouldn't have been. And the township is small. We've always had reactive enforcement. And this was the first, major complaint that led us down this path, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't have happened to any of those other properties at any other time. So I know that's a long-winded answer, and I usually don't talk this much, I feel like, during these discussions, but this, to me is a big issue. I've said from the beginning, I think it's one of the biggest things that the township will tackle. And for all of those reasons, that's why I also believe that we should reject the recommendations that we have on the table and potentially look at other options down the road. But so I said there were two things. One is I'd like to, my vote will be to reject what we have before us. And the second thing would be a motion in order to lift the moratorium on enforcement, so that we are clear that while we are undertaking any of these efforts, that our current ordinance, which bans short-term rentals other than bed and breakfast, remains in place. Any additional discussion?
So with your discussion, I just want to clarify that would not allow continuing conversation for modifying the language for bed and breakfast?
I think that could be we could certainly entertain another motion to send that recommendation back to the planning commission. Separately from, we have to vote first on the motion that's before us, which was to reject the proposal that they put forward. But then we could also make another motion to ask that those options be reviewed with the planning department and planning commission.
Are we talking about the moratorium yet?
That would also need to be another motion.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Any additional discussion? All right, so the motion before us is to reject the planning commission recommendation of allowing short-term rentals in only agriculture or the agricultural or commercial zones. And we'll move into a vote. Trustee Sakinga. Trustee Sanders.
Wait a minute, I'm to reject it.
To reject it.
Yes.
Yes, again. Swear they did it just to confuse me. All right, so let's, Trustee Sakinga, Trustee Sanders, Clerk Sambolis.
Yes? No?
You want to
You want,
adopt
yes.
it or not?
Do you
If
want to?
don't want it adopted, you say yes.
Yes.
Yes means no.
Yeah.
Yes means no. All right, are we all good? Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Trustee Abbott.
Yes.
Trustee Nolte.
Yes.
All right, so we have rejected the planning commission recommendation. Now, are there any additional short-term rental motions?
Don't we need to make a motion to remove the moratorium that has been in place for the last year and go back to
Yes, I'll second.
disallowing short-term
So
rentals?
Trustee Nolte has moved and yeah.
Oh, right.
So we can
So
go back to.
so you'd go back. So I think the motion would be to lift the moratorium
On it.
on enforcement of short-term rentals.
All right, so we have a motion by Trustee Nolte, seconded by Trustee Sakinga to lift the moratorium on enforcement of short-term rentals. Discussion. Trustee Sanders.
Is there a way to be nuanced about that? Like to say, we're not going to, and we're going to enforce, we're going to enforce short-term rentals that are operating without the owner present, but if the owner is present, then we won't enforce it right now?
I think,
Is that just?
yeah, I think the answer to your question would be if in our ordinance right now, we allow short-term rentals in bed and breakfast. So if they met that definition and the owner was present, then if there was an enforcement action, if someone filed a complaint and Fletcher went to figure out whether the complaint was valid and that was the case, then enforcement, they wouldn't be violating the ordinance.
No, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, doesn't a bed and breakfast require a special land use permit? So they would still be in violation.
I guess I don't mean owners present inside. I guess I mean owner present. Not necessarily in that home, but let's say they own a home next to their home. Okay, like owner.
I think the simple answer to your question, Laura, is no. If there was an enforcement action at this point and they were found to be in violation, then enforcement would
So
take place under the moratorium.
Anybody who's running them right now would be out of compliance.
Yeah,
There would
which-
be enforcement action against anyone who's running them.
If there was a complaint, we are still in reactive zoning. So if there was a complaint about that specific location,
Okay,
the moratorium is just that we had placed a moratorium on any of those actions so that if there were complaints, they weren't investigated while this was all pending. If there are complaints, essentially what we're saying is if there are complaints now, they would go through the normal investigation process.
Okay.
We're not going to pursue those people those operators proactively, but if someone complains, then
Okay,
we,
I understand. Thank you for that.
Additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. I'm going to do a roll call on this one as well. Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
trustee Abbott, treasurer Metz,
Yes.
clerk Stambouli,
Yes.
trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga,
yes.
supervisor Scott, yes. The motion carries. Are there any additional motions on short-term rentals?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to request that the planning department propose to the planning commission an amendment to the zoning ordinance to clarify, to add clarifying language to the effect that bed and breakfast and only bed and breakfast that bed and breakfast are the only permitted short-term rental use in the township. I know that that's implied by statute.
Hold
but
on,
it's-
can you,
but
can you repeat? I just want to, let's
So-
repeat the motion.
So the motion is to request the planning department to propose to the planning commission an amendment to the zoning ordinance to add clarifying language to the effect that bed and breakfasts are the only permitted short-term rental in Dexter Township.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Abbott. So it's been properly moved and seconded. Discussion?
And I wanted to say, the reason I said I asked for that is because I did attend some of the committee meetings and some of the public discussion, and it was really clear to me that the current operators, some felt very adamant that it is a permitted legal use. And we many times shared Sarah's letter that explained why it's not a permitted use in the state statute that lays out that only things that are proactively listed in the zoning ordinance are permitted uses, but it just is not intuitive to the operators. So it's a little like belt and suspenders, but I think it will clear up some confusion among for now for the.
I think it's very important because if the average person cannot look in the zoning and know that what they're doing is not permitted, to me, that's not adequate.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to make it obvious.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to be comprehensive, and we don't need to list everything that's not permitted, but this is an exceptional case because it's because it occurs so commonly across the country that people
Well,
seem to expect that
And
that
it's
they're-
not like short-term rentals just popped up in the last 5 years. They've been going on for a long time because I've been using them since probably 2014 or even earlier. So I think that this is long overdue, is making it more specific and clear to our residents.
Can we entertain expanding the definition of bed and breakfast though? Because it's so narrow. I mean, it just involves a room in your home when there's people who have these accessory buildings or a room in, especially agricultural, that if you have several outbuildings, you might have a room in your outbuilding, or you may have, and that's not covered under my understanding, my current understanding of what the bed and breakfast is like, it's all under one roof. But you may have a property where you have, apartment in the top of your garage that's 20 feet away from your home.
But that would be a separate, this is just a
Yeah.
motion to clarify the language in the ordinance. You could make a motion after we vote on this one to request the planning department to expand the definition, to look into expanding the definition of a bed and breakfast.
So after this motion, that's when we can ask them to entertain.
Yeah, we
expanding
can,
that language.
I will
Boy, it's
definitely.
almost come down, isn't it? Okay.
I mean, you
Right.
could ask to, if she would amend her motion, and if she would accept that amendment to broaden that, and then.
Can you amend your motion to broaden to also ask for a broadened definition of bed and breakfast?
Can I make
But
a,
I think but your motion is actually to narrowly defined to make it very clear that STRs is not a permitted use in the township, because the only thing that made it clear before was some language at the end of commercial uses that the average resident wouldn't have seen.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
think I'd rather keep them separate because I think that this motion is very simple and straightforward. And I think this other effort, which would be to consider expanding the definition of bed and breakfast, that I think has some complexity, and I'm not sure what the process for that would be. And I would like to discuss that kind of separately. What process do we want to pursue, and how do we want to assess the impacts? Because if we do that, I think that would be a bigger undertaking.
I agree. I agree that it should be separate. It clarifies our books and lets our residents know that STRs are not allowed.
Unless, except as otherwise specified. In the-
Exactly. And then it's a future action for the planning you could have another 6, 7, 8 months, another year trying to come up with outlines for bed and breakfast, but it should be clear on the books that
And if we do expand the definition of bed and breakfast, the language that clarifies that only as specified is permissible would still be relevant. So this amendment to the zoning ordinance will be good and useful no matter what we do with the definition of bed and breakfast.
Any further discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote. I don't know. Does this one need to be a roll call vote? Does it matter, Sarah?
Doesn't matter.
All right. So
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
I'm just worried about making these decisions where we say we're gonna come back to something and we don't. I mean, I've said this several times over, that I guess I don't want to vote on, I would like to, I think it's more important to me to think about amending the bed and breakfast definition versus getting tight about this, like saying that that we only are allowing bed and breakfast. I hear you that we're trying to say no to short-term rentals, but it feels like.
We're trying to clarify for the operators who were upset and very adamant that it is permitted. We're trying to be very clear for them, what our current status quo. And you can vote no.
I know, I can, I know. I'm free.
any additional discussion before we go into the vote? Okay. So the motion is to ask the planning department to propose to the planning commission an amendment to clarify that the bed and breakfasts are the only permitted use, sorry, I missed a word. Yeah, are the only permitted short-term rentals. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Are there any additional motions around short-term rentals?
Sorry, I didn't vote. Do I have to vote?
No, with a voice vote, I just call.
Abstain, because it feels unclear. It feels not good to me, so.
Yeah, because we didn't do a roll call, a voice vote is just the chair determines that the majority were either ayes or nays, so it's not recorded as individual votes. There shouldn't be, because we didn't do a roll call vote, so there's no way to know that.
Well, there is, because it's gonna be on TV. that
Sarah?
way.
So technically, you can't abstain unless you have a conflict of interest. So you have as a township board member, you have a duty to vote on everything unless you have a conflict of interest. So if it feels icky to you, then your vote should be no.
Okay, then I'm just gonna vote no, and it's because I want better clarity on bed and breakfast. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that our process is clear, though. On a voice vote, the chair determines whether the majorities were ayes or nays. We didn't, if we want a roll call vote, I can certainly do that, but we shouldn't be trying to record from individual voices whose vote was a yay or nay.
And we should not, and the minutes should not.
Correct.
reflect The vote, the
Yeah.
names of the vote.
That it was just the motion, the majority carries. Any additional motions around short-term rentals? So
Well, yeah, I don't know how to craft the motion very well, but I do think that we should that the planning commission should revisit the definition of bed and breakfast and expand it to include accessory dwellings that are on a property. And maybe there's maybe there's other expanded definitions of it that I'm not thinking of,
So,
but at least that.
all right, so trustee Sanders has made a motion to direct the planning department to work with the planning commission to revisit the definition of bed and breakfast to potentially expand the definition.
Mhm.
Is that?
To expand it, to not necessarily include under one roof. I mean, if you've got,
You're asking to expand it to include accessory dwelling?
yes,
Basically.
I
But
guess,
that
yeah,
they don't have to be attached.
that's right,
Accessory dwelling.
right, especially if you're thinking about, I mean,
I feel like we're laying out the process that the planning commission should do by giving these definitions of what you choose.
So did
It's,
anybody second her motion?
oh,
I'll second the motion.
There you go.
okay.
Well, we don't have a full motion yet. I think that's where we were.
Yeah,
We have to revisit the definition of a bed and breakfast. And then that's where to potentially expand
To include accessory.
to include express,
I disagree with that.
to include, well, that's okay, because that,
And not attached.
to include accessory dwelling units attached and non-attached. Is that,
yeah.
and then there would need to be a second.
That is a pretty narrow motion.
I
Is-
disagree with that.
Okay,
because-
hold on. We can discuss it afterwards. Is there a second to the motion? Okay. Trustee Sickinga seconds. Now we can have discussion. Trustee Nolte.
I disagree with that motion because I feel like we're giving the planning commissions the ideology that they haven't even researched. And we're saying, okay, make it expand to this, make it do this, when we don't know what it's going to impact. Telling them to go look at the definition of bed and breakfast and let them come back to us if it includes ADUs, yes, on parcels, non-parcel, that's a whole different thing. But to give them such a narrow vision and say, go do this.
But I think he said the planning department, which means Fletcher.
Oh,
I
which-
don't think
which-
that's, yeah.
Which is different. I think we just want Fletcher to explore
Or we're just doing Fletcher?
A little,
No, I
that's,
think it
he,
takes the plan.
he said planning, she said planning department, right? Not planning commission.
I repeated it the same way that we had done the last one. So the planning department to work with the planning commission to revisit the definition of bed and breakfast to potentially expand to include accessory dwelling units attached and
And
non-attached.
maybe other things. So Karen, I was trying to say that I'm not trying to be that narrow. There may be other aspects that I'm not thinking of
mhm.
in terms of expanded. I know I talked to a lake family who had an accessory dwelling unit.
Mhm.
And in general, they did not agree with short-term rentals, but did think that that would be
Mhm.
something they could do.
All I'm saying is open, I'm not against putting it back to Fletcher or
Right.
the planning commission. All I'm saying is let them come with the ideas, not have us give the ideas and say, work within this framework. And that's what I feel like your motion is saying, okay, planning commission, go do this, include ADUs, and if any other free thoughts, but we're outlining, they should be able to come back to us with 3 or 4 suggestions, and then we discuss and how it impacts.
Well, I just think that that the suggestion should include exploring
To me, that's a
Other-
memo to the planning.
Other than under one roof. I mean, that's what's so narrow about the bed and breakfast definition.
Mhm.
So,
I understand.
yeah.
Fletcher, what do you think of this? I mean, what would be, I think you're probably understand what's happening here, which is that there's some desire on the board to have the window be open a little bit. Is there a sensible way to do that, that would be feasible, not very expensive to enforce and mitigate all the negative impacts that were identified by the short-term rental committee?
Well, hold on,
Wait a minute.
hold on. I don't think that's a fair question to ask Fletcher on the.
Do you have a reaction to this? Like, what's your reaction when you're hearing?
You
this?
do.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is that the planning commission did see a proposed amendment to the bed and breakfast definition to include short-term rentals, and they didn't go that route when exploring that. However, the planning commission's always up to relooking at our ordinances and making I guess, some type of compromise within the regulations we currently have, expand upon them.
How are you defining short-term rental? In that statement that you made, that they decided not to include short-term rental, but what does that mean? Because I'm talking about accessory buildings on the same property.
So short-term rental is just any rental under 30 days.
But bed and breakfast is allowed, and you can stay in a bed and breakfast for a couple of days.
Correct.
So can you stay in the bed and breakfast that's like in the building 10 feet away for a couple of days?
The current
Not
D&D ordinance requires the owner, it requires it to be operated and occupied by the owner. So to me, that means you gotta be in the primary dwelling, and you can't use an ADU under the current ordinance.
And that's what I think is too tight and narrow. And
Can I ask one
Sarah,
question?
Sarah, what were you?
Oh,
I was just gonna say, you guys can direct the planning commission to do whatever you want them to do. Like, if you want them to look at this specific issue,
Mhm.
ADUs to be permitted as part of the bed and breakfast regulations, planning commission go draft us language and set a public hearing for that. Like, you can direct them to do that, like, they're not completely autonomous from you.
the
So
planning
if-
commission or the planning department?
The planning commission.
Okay.
So if you want them to look at something, I mean, that's their job to do that. And so if you have rejected what they've given you, you can send it back to them. I mean, you've already voted no on it, but you can also send a directive down to them to say, look at this definition, think about accessory dwelling units, and come up with some language and some additional regulations that you see to think might be appropriate to allow accessory dwelling units.
Trustee
as
Nolte.
part of a bed and
Oh.
breakfast.
Trustee Nolte.
thanks. In your past comment, you were talking about the planning commission and what they already started to talk about bed and breakfast. In that conversation, in your opinion, were they addressing that in all districts or just in ag because they left it okay for ag, or were they talking about all districts in your opinion of what was going down?
In my opinion, they didn't want to change anything about where bed and breakfasts are currently allowed.
Okay.
And they're currently allowed in all of the residential zoning districts with
Okay.
a special land use. So I don't think there was a consideration to prohibit those in certain areas.
Okay,
Are they allowed in agricultural zones?
right now. they're
Let
allowed
me pull
everywhere.
that up real quick. I have it right here.
Thought they had that in here.
Bed and breakfasts are a special land use in agriculture, rural residential, lakes residential, and recreation conservation.
Mhm.
Any additional discussion?
I don't have any.
Is-
Okay, I can
discussion.
tell you. I thought
But-
you were starting. but-
Can I ask one other question?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
On page, my numbers got messed up. All this, is this to include short-term rentals? Was this mainly for the bed and breakfast guidelines that you gave us? It's page 59 to 62 of our packet. It's add section to include short-term rentals, it's following standards, talks about bed and breakfast.
So that was if the township adopted Hamburg.
Oh, okay.
Regulation.
Okay, so this isn't from our planning, this is from Hamburg's planning.
Correct.
Okay.
And then if you go down to, let's see. Page 86 of the packet, that was just a brief proposed amendment brought to the planning commission at one point to amend the current bed and
Right.
breakfast definition. And that was it. No, none of the regulations changed, just the definition to include.
Okay, I was looking more at this because by the guidelines at this, I cannot imagine anybody in our township qualifying. Because it talks about you have to be 200 feet away from adjacent residents, you have to be, it would, in my opinion, by looking at this, when I was reading it, it would eliminate any bed and breakfast in our Lake District just by the footage that was outlined. That's where I was wondering where this was coming from, if it was our
What
planning
page are
commission.
you looking at? Yeah, oh, I'm.
Oh, no, this is page 60 through
She's looking at
62.
62,
But,
yeah.
but.
But
Fletcher
I
clar-
understand now.
Yeah,
it's just
Fletcher
Putney,
clarified
so,
that,
I mean, it's
that's
just Hamburg,
Putnam
I get it now.
or Hamburg.
Oh, that's.
So that's
okay,
not,
sorry,
not
sorry.
what's
Okay.
proposed. All right, any other discussion around the motion?
Can you read the motion again? I was really, Sarah's thoughts helped me a lot, and I want to make sure that the motion is right.
Yeah, the motion that I have is to direct the Planning and Zoning Department to work with the Planning Commission to revisit the definition of bed and breakfast to potentially expand to include accessory dwelling units, both attached and non-attached.
I would just like to add this. I always thought ADUs were the happy medium because the host is there
Yes.
and they're a resident. And, you know, throughout this whole process, there was all this talk about commercial big corporations coming in and buying up all the houses and turning them into short-term rentals. And another conversation was having a point of contact within 30 to 45 minutes away. I feel like the ADUs, whether attached or not attached, they're all in the same parcel. And
Yeah.
it does mitigate a great deal of the issues that people discuss.
Additional discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move into a vote on the motion. And because of our confusion last time, I'm just going to do a roll call vote. That seems easier. Trustee Nolte.
I'm going to vote no because I don't think we should tell the planning commission what to define. I think. if we
Okay,
send
just
it-
a vote, just a vote.
No.
We already discussed.
I vote-
Trustee Abbott,
Yes.
Treasurer Metz.
Yes.
Clerk Stambuelis.
Yes.
Trustee Sanders.
Yes.
Trustee Sickinga. And Supervisor Scott, yes. So the motion carries. Any other motions around short-term rentals? All right, hearing none, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is blight remediation. And I will entertain a motion to allow the township attorney to initiate circuit court action as discussed in our closed session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Nolte, seconded by Metz. Is there any discussion? I just want to say that I want to thank Fletcher for staying on top of this. This is a big concern, and I know that he's been working on it for quite a while. So really appreciate his efforts around this. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of staff salary resolution number 25-699. It's page 88 in your packets. This is a a revision for our salary resolution. It's an increase in the salary under the Director in Planning and Zoning. It is not an increase to the budget. You all will probably remember when we passed the fiscal year 2026 budget, the line item there included also a potential for a part-time code enforcement officer. Our Director of Planning and Zoning has been acting in that capacity, and so this is an increase proposed in salary to align with that. So not an increase in the budget, just an increase in the salary, and reflected in the resolution because we pass these resolutions each year. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-699.
Is there a second?
Support.
I'm going to give it to Clerk Stambuelis this time. All right, so it's been moved by Nolte, seconded by Stambuelis. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. I will do a roll call since it's a resolution. Trustee Sickinga, Trustee Sanders,
Yes.
Clerk Stambuelis,
Yes.
Treasurer Metz,
Yes.
Trustee Abbott,
Yes.
Trustee Nolte,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott, yes. Motion carries. We'll now move into discussion items, and we will start with the Dexter Township Strategic Plan and Trustee Sickinga.
Okay, so at the workshop on Monday, we read through the vision exercise, the vision as determined by the group, and then the mission as determined by the group that attended the strategic planning session. And there was a suggestion by Supervisor Scott that we there was discussion about there being too many words in the vision statement. And I posed the question, should we have value statements? And Supervisor Scott put those two concepts together and said, hey, let's take the values, make our value statements this long string of words from the mission statement. So what I have done, what I had in mind for tonight, well, what I've done basically is take all, there was a list of 10 words in that vision statement that the working group came up with. And then I took those 10 words, I went to, Google Gemini or ChatGPT or something, and I said, write me a vision statement for a general laws township in Michigan. I took its results, I edited them, and I'm putting them on the table in front of you all. And I thought, just in the interest of time, I would assign a couple of these. Each of you are assigned a couple of them to read through and just look at and kind of edit and make pencil notes. And then after you have a minute to look at the ones that are assigned to you, I thought we could just go down the line. You could read the ones that are assigned to you with your edits, and we could say as a group, does that sound good? And what I'm going to do is give you all 5 minutes to think, take your pencils out, edit, make copy edits, then we'll all read them without discussion, then we'll discuss at the end. Okay, so I'm going to give you all just a few minutes right now.
Doing this
Take
now.
your
And
pencils.
what are we looking
doing
at
this now.
exactly? Which statements?
So
Page 90.
page.
Yeah,
nine.
no, I'm on page
Your
90.
so Sanders is carrying.
You've got
Yeah.
us there.
No
Okay.
T is
Can I have
collaborative.
peaceful?
You're diverse, engaged is Stambuelis,
Okay.
environmentally responsible, Stambuelis.
And these are,
Fiscally responsible, Metz, peaceful, Abbott, resilient, Abbott, safe, Scott, and Law.
So does everyone understand what they're being asked to do? You've got your sections that you,
Just editing
it's just
you're editing the statement that was.
Okay, we can edit the statements and then what are we?
I can't edit things quickly like that.
What
Okay.
are we doing with them after we edit them?
You're reading it out loud.
Okay,
We're going to read them all out loud.
okay.
And then at the end, we're going to say, okay, are we satisfied?
and if not, we'll edit it together.
And if
Okay.
not, we'll edit it together.
So there's no pressure, just your thoughts, and then we can.
And you may be fine with it as written.
I didn't know we were doing this tonight.
No.
Should pull the Mickey, but it was in our packet last week, so we've had a week.
You have.
Yeah.
Oh. That's rare. I don't think that's. I like just this. Sweet.
I think we're ready.
Okay. What? Why don't we just go down the line instead of going in? So I'll start with you, Karen.
Oh, go down this line.
Yes.
Okay. Collaborative. I like, we believe in the power of partnership and active participation. I'm not sure, to keep them short and concise, do we need the second sentence at all is what I ask.
So
If
do
we
we-
believe in the power of partnership and active participation, I feel like the second sentence is just identifying who we're gonna work with.
Okay, so you would just
I
taken
just,
that out.
yeah, I just kill that.
I agree with.
And then you want my other one right now?
Yeah, welcoming.
Welcoming, we welcome residents, visitors, ideas, and foster an atmosphere of openness and hospitality. I would like to see something there. We welcome residents, visitors. Do we welcome? I think I would like something in there that we welcome ideas to building our community. Somehow.
So you want to put to build our community at the end of the sentence?
Yeah, basically, foster atmosphere, openness and hospitality to build community. I put my note, community build,
Mhm.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
enhance our community. Build or enhance?
So I really liked, what you already had for peaceful. We value harmony, tranquility with quiet enjoyment of our homes and public spaces. I think that really doesn't need anything. However, on resilient, we are strong and adaptable. We are a strong and adaptable community prepared to face challenges and overcome adversity. And that's where I think period should be.
And forget, we thrive in the face of change.
Yeah, all right. I
Yeah.
feel that it's just corny.
Gilding the lip.
Yeah.
Corny. It's just corny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Good. Brad.
So, do I read the whole thing first? Or,
Yeah,
okay,
Well,
so,
read the way you want it.
okay, I mean, I liked it the way that it was. I just, again, just shortening by a little bit, we prioritize and then it goes the long-term well-being, but if we just prioritize the well-being,
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
that's for as long as we're here, so that could come out and just make
Yeah.
it shorter.
You can
That-
tell that I started with AI because these are all like 1/4 the length of what was suggested to me. I went through.
They were
it
too
all.
long.
Yeah. Anything else, Brad?
No, that was kind of my one thing was, the long-term part. Prioritize well-being, and I can go from there.
Great.
I actually made mine longer.
Uh-huh.
Contrary to everyone else. And it says the safety and security of our residents and visitors to our community is paramount
Where is that one? I'm sorry.
at the very
It's
bottom.
second from the
second
last.
from the
Okay, okay.
The safety and security of our residents and
Yeah,
Our
and
paramount.
visitors to our community.
I think that's good.
Sure.
I like this.
Yeah, this is adding the words community. Michelle?
Okay, so environmentally responsible,
Whoops.
I-
The
I-
we is missing.
pardon?
The we is missing. Should be we preserve. Sales start with we.
The only way I can think of, it's long,
Yeah.
but it's to an extent necessary. But if you wanted to shorten it a smidge, you could remove land, water, and air because we preserve and protect our natural resources, which falls under the umbrella of
Yep.
land,
Yep.
water, and air. And you can combine the two sentences, or you can leave them separate. So it can be, we preserve and protect our natural resources while promoting sustainable practices, conserving open spaces, and to foster a healthy environment for current and future generations. Or if you wanted to leave them separate, that would be acceptable to me too.
Who has anybody have a preference on that?
No, I like just the way she read that. That's beautiful.
I kind of like
Okay.
it combined.
Yes, I like
Okay,
that. Wow.
then we
promoting,
combine it.
great.
Thank you.
Okay. What about, did you see that engaged was also assigned?
And I love having the engaged in there, and so we encourage and support residents to participate in civic life, ensuring that all voices are heard and considered. I think that's fantastic. I wish there was a way language could be put in there that to get people more engaged somehow. That we want them more engaged, or we encourage more engagement. Well, that's in there, so
I was
yeah.
gonna say, if it's already
It's fine.
There.
I like that one too.
Laura?
Okay, with caring, I like it. I thought maybe we should say we promote versus we have a culture. So we are a community that looks out for one another. We promote culture, we promote a culture of compassion and support. We assess those in need and promote a sense of shared responsibility for well-being of all. I'm not sure we need the first sentence, which is that we watch out for one another. But I like it. So I don't feel strongly about it, but I think we should say we promote versus we have, because we're always striving for that.
Okay. Do you guys want the we are a community that looks out for one another, or strike it?
What does everybody else?
Good strike it.
I strike it.
I like the starting out with we promote
Okay.
Okay.
a culture of compassion and support.
Yeah, and then for diverse, I just wanted to add, we embrace and celebrate the unique perspectives. And I thought we should say cultural backgrounds, to be a little bit more specific, and experiences of our residents, because backgrounds is just so huge, I mean, so I thought we should add cultural background in there.
And what about, do you want to leave in here, everyone is treated with
Yes,
dignity
I
and
like
respect?
that a lot.
Do you like the word here?
I don't think we need the word here.
I don't like here. I don't know why I don't like it. It's like here.
Well, any comments about that before we move on to the vision statement? That went very well. It happened, I've never done
It's
this.
a good
before,
idea. You
And
did
it
a really
happened
good-
just like I
nice
hoped
job.
it was.
Yeah.
So that was great. Okay,
Yeah.
so then for the vision statement, at the top is the vision statement that the group came up with the long list of words. And then I'm going to read you 3 options, because when I took out the long list of words, it didn't gel for me as well. It didn't sound as good. So I wrote a couple, I played with it a little bit, and I looked at what the options were that were offered by the different groups at the workshop, and I came up with a couple of alternatives. So option 1, our township, is derived directly from the original one. Our township preserves our natural beauty and stewards sustainable farms, waterways, open space, and residential areas. We enjoy clean and plentiful water resources, quality roads, and infrastructure to create a community that embodies our core values. Alternative 2, Dexter Township embodies a sense of community where everyone feels safe, welcome, and engaged. Clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, and farmland thrive, creating a resilient and prosperous home for current and future generations. Alternative 3, where a township that embodies our values of care and collaboration, our farms, waterways, and open spaces are as cherished as the people who live here.
Hmm.
Like 2 and 3.
Hmm?
2 and 3.
I like 3.
I like 3.
I do too. The first,
Short, sweet.
the first one doesn't include community, which that
Maybe
feels like that's missing there. But the next two do.
Lonnie has a different perspective.
The only one I liked was 1 because because it harkens back to our core values.
Oh, it does say create a community, but yeah.
I shouldn't say the only one I like. My favorite one was 1, but I'm open to, I also, 3 is short and sweet. I just, to the cheese factor that Alicia was talking about earlier, as cherished as the people who live here is very, it feels very cheesy to me.
What does?
As cherished as the people who live here.
Oh, we can do that.
Go sit out.
As valued?
They're really distracting that they're drawing.
Valued,
Oh.
yeah.
Ladies, would you mind going into sitting in the seats because I'm finding it difficult. You're distracting me and I'm trying to facilitate this. So we got different perspectives. We don't have to make a decision tonight. The middle one was kind of the compromise between the cheese factor and the original.
But it's a good blue cheese.
It is. I don't mind the cheese. I'm fine with the cheese.
Do you want to change cherished?
Cherished to something else.
Valued.
You know.
Value, yeah, what about value?
I like chair.
Church is fine.
I knew she was gonna do
Yeah,
that.
I get
She
it.
just-
Let's not go.
Yeah, cherished is fine.
All right.
So I don't, so what are we doing,
No
guys?
direct
Valued.
service.
Valued.
Valued.
Valued, I think that's probably a little more
Valued,
professional.
Well,
Or
except then
valued.
it's a repeat because
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know that I like that
Values.
either. We are a township that embodies our values of care and collaboration are as valued as the people who live here.
No.
I'd rather cherished than. The only thing I question too is if there is a way, if we're going with option 3, we are a township that embodies, I would almost like to say our core, I don't know that I want to just single out care and collaboration of our core values, if that makes sense.
Say 152. Oh, sorry. Oh, option 3, it says our farm, waterway, and open spaces. We're really not kind of addressing our neighborhoods.
So let me read the alternative 2 again, which was the compromise one. Dexter Township embodies a sense of community where everyone feels safe, welcome, and engaged. Clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, and farmland thrive, creating a resilient and prosperous home for current and future residents.
Yeah, it sounds better, actually.
It's a little wordy.
It's a little wordy.
Well, if you, in option 3, instead of cherished or valued, we could say are as important as the people who live here. I feel like when you put a ton of, I think you were the one who mentioned, Karen, or Trustee Sakenga, that the attention span. If it's
Yes.
too wordy,
Yeah, that's true.
you only see a portion, the front and the end.
So we're taking out so we are a township that embodies our values. Our farms, waterways, and open spaces are as important as the people who live here.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Can we say something like the first sentence of option 3, we're a township that embodies our values with care and collaboration, kick up to the second sentence in number 2, clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, farmland thrive, creating a resilient and prosperous home for current and future generations.
What if we take
Like-
away the creating a resilient and prosperous? What if we just say clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, and
Farmland thrive. Cool.
I like that, but
Makes
I
it short.
also like Dexter Township embodies a sense of community.
Yeah, me too.
So now, so we could have Dexter Township embodies a sense of community, period. Clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, and farmland thrive. That's very simple one. So it's just taking a lot of the words from.
Merging 2 and 3. De-notify.
What about changing alternative 3 to we cherish our farms, waterways, open spaces and people? We cherish our community, or farms, waterways, open spaces and people. I still like the word cherish.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna read,
We value our natural wonders as much as our.
so now I'm gonna read two options now. Option one, Dexter Township embodies a sense of community. Clean and beautiful waterways, open space, residential areas, and farmland thrive. That's one option. Option two, we are a township that embodies our values. We cherish our farms, waterways, open spaces, and people.
Getting too fluffy.
Say it needs a little more.
They lost their punch.
It's Parmesan. It's more word Parmesan at this point.
Could be
It's
Dexter
more-
Township.
So should I come back with some
Yeah.
more alternatives at the next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll drop it. Okay.
Okay, we can't
Yeah.
think anymore.
Yeah, I think we're getting tired. I was almost gonna
Okay,
just
so
propose that we move on. So then can we move on to the next item, which is really more me, I think, than you, Karen? Because,
Oh, single hauler?
yeah.
Oh,
geez.
you mean the next item?
Oh
I'm
my
sorry,
God.
next item on the agenda.
So it's the
Yes,
agenda.
so we are done with strategic plan discussion item. We'll move into single hauler trash contract
and I
with
think-
trustee Sickinga.
I say we do that because I'm the one that distributed the contract.
Mhm.
Karen and I are going to meet with Waste Management on site in Plymouth tomorrow morning for a couple hours. And you could see, so this is the draft that we're working with right now.
That's version 7.
And it's version 7, and like I said, you know, Sarah's looked at it, and some of the other folks at Bodman, the Washtenaw County attorney has had a crack at it, the little committee that we were working with, Sierra Egerman and Matt Nod have looked at it. There are some, on the last page are these items that we know we're gonna be discussing tomorrow, the HOA consolidated billing, the old cart removal, the implementation and the startup process. And then I think Bodman is working on giving us a clause for how we'll hold the contractor accountable to the terms of the contract, in particular, the liquidated damages. And
And Lonnie sent in like 4 comments. Did you see those in email yet? I printed them out for tomorrow.
yeah, okay. So, but I wanted to put this actual contract in front of the board before we go there tomorrow, because we won't go there again. But this will probably, we have had many such meetings with them. And the intention is that this in-person meeting should be the last. And I wanted to give you all a chance to read through the contract and prime us with any questions that you have for Waste Management, so we can go in tomorrow with those questions.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And through this process, I read your executive minutes, Michelle. And it seems like you talk a lot about single hauler. Feel free to reach out if you have questions. If there's, 1 or 2 things that you're unsure of, contact Karen or I, just to make sure we're getting it in, or we've addressed it and we know the answer. Rather know things ahead of schedule than after schedule.
We generally, in those meetings, try to often go through the agenda. So if it's an agenda item, it's going to continue to
Gotcha.
pop in those meetings too.
Okay.
Just so that the 3 of us stay on top of the things that are coming forward. Other discussion?
Anything that raised a red flag.
I just wanted to, because I sent them in an email, I just want to raise them here as well, so that everyone here knows what the things I flagged. Page 5 of 20 on the item, number 4, it says Christmas trees will be collected 1 time per year.
Yeah.
And in
Oh,
our,
yeah.
It
That
just
was gonna
says-
be twice a year.
in our
Yeah.
discussion, it
right,
was, we said twice.
I gotta go to the second week of January.
And then on page 8 of 20, there is a question that I have in the middle of that long paragraph at the end. It says, the company may suspend or terminate service to service recipients that become more than 60 days past due and/or may place a lien upon the service recipient's property in accordance with applicable law. I know that, maybe that
I'm
page 8 of 20.
Here, I see.
Okay.
At the
So
bottom,
It's like the 4th to the last line.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, should we take that out?
I had a question and maybe just because Sarah's here, she might be able to tell us. I don't know, a private contractor can sue, I believe, to put a lien on a property. I just want to make clear that that is what they intend here, that they're not expecting the township to put a lien on a property because of past. So maybe that's okay. I wanted to flag that that's not a lien from us, that is.
And
if
that
they're
is
taking-
new language that you guys haven't reviewed yet, so because the draft that you guys looked at, I believe, had the township doing the collections, and so this is updated. So we'll flag that question,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but you guys will have to review this section.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that if they can do it, and I don't know the answer to this question, but if they can do it, it would be similar to like a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landscaper saying, whatever.
Sure. I just want to make sure that they don't expect
not
the
a-
township is doing it because they ask us to, because they say they're owed. Like, I want to make sure that it's like through normal collections and court process that they deal with.
Solve that by just saying, township shall not be involved in the process. It goes in such a way,
Sure.
and it would solve your
On page 9, I think this is probably also a carryover to where maybe they. were trying-
Wait one moment.
Yeah.
The township shall not be involved
In the
in-
process of liens.
in the process of imposing such, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Lonnie.
On page 9, letter C,
Mm-hmm.
it says additional and unbilled services where a service recipient requests services not billed by the municipality or company identifies additional services that are being provided but not billed by the municipality. We are not doing billing,
Mhm.
so this.
Yeah.
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 As I read it, I thought it may be that it's actually, if there is a service that a resident wants that is not included in the bid price, right? If they want this roll-off dumpster or bagster or any of the other things that are highlighted, but I think that has to be clear, just because it reads right now as if we're doing billing. Page 11.
Sarah, are you making, because I would defer to you on that too, like how would we edit?
And I think Sarah, did I copy you on my? Okay.
Yeah.
I can forward it to you too, because it's got all of these listed.
But we'll let them know,
Yeah.
that we flagged this for our attorney to take a look at it and.
Top of page 11, letter D. This is a big one to me. So this is where it talks about reasonable efforts to obtain payment from delinquent accounts. And it says, however, if the average bad debt ratio exceeds 1.5% for the 12-month period ending the November prior to the adjustment date, then the next adjustment date, there should be a separate adjustment to rates to compensate the company for the amount of bad debt exceeding such 1.5% bad debt ratio. I'm wondering, that means that they could just change their rates. And I don't know enough about the trash hauling service to know, is 1.5% bad debt ratio common?
Yeah.
Do they usually carry 2 and so they write it at 1.5 so they can adjust their rates? What is so I just want to make sure that we check that section, because this seems like a huge loophole to being able to change their rates. And then my last one was on page 16. And this one was kind of funny. This is a question for you, Karen.
I know what that one is.
To make sure that the prices went back to what Waste Management had suggested, not the increased cart prices for the additional carts.
Where is it?
It's the
Right in the middle. Additional
Second
cart
paragraph,
requested.
second chart number.
Yeah, Karen, what does that go to? I don't remember.
I don't know. I can't, I'd have to go back to my notes. I don't have that
Yeah,
with me.
I just wanted to flag.
I think this
Well,
is the,
We just talked about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to flag it.
Yeah.
That is the.
Yeah, how much for a
what
second
was it?
cart?
Oh, yeah, because she.
16.
Yeah.
She requested it be.
no, I think this is because this is what they wanted, because I wanted
No.
it to be higher than.
No,
than-
995 when it's 1075. That's absolutely.
Yeah, you,
It's higher than what they normally charge.
Is it? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
because I wanted to, I asked for them to make it higher than 1075.
That's why everybody wants it to go
That's
down.
why I wanted to make sure we go back to the second, the, what.
Part should be more expensive than the first part.
Yeah.
But I see you're asking for that change. Does everybody want?
I think that I didn't, when you announced that you wanted the price
Yeah.
doubled to force people to
Not
recycle.
double, just
Not
high.
double, just high.
To incentivize them, I didn't feel good about that at all. I didn't feel that's fair to our residents to do that, and I don't think that you should do that. I don't think it was a good
But
look for you.
But it is our environmental, we have
I
environmental.
understand that, but it feels heavy-handed,
And we don't know the circumstances.
right?
Why they
I
may
understand
need
the
multiple
policy,
carts.
but yes, why they need multiple
Might
carts
have
could
two
be,
Kids.
yeah, could be very different than, maybe they still recycle more than they have trash, but they need a second cart. I just, yeah.
Is that your house line? You need two.
All right,
recycle-
any other,
Recycle.
did anybody else have anything on the contract?
I have highlights all over. So
Go for it.
I just didn't realize you were gonna meet with them so quickly tomorrow, and you don't plan to meet with them again?
Oh, we'll meet with them again, but
Would you
tomorrow
kind-
we want to hammer out.
Because I'm
some of
more
the-
than happy to send my emails to you guys, but not
You can highlight them
tonight.
here. I would highlight them
Can we
here
have a
too.
copy of your highlighted areas tonight? Can you just copy
Sure.
it so we can?
I mean, I guess, one thing that stuck out to me was.
Tell us where you
What page
are.
are you?
Yeah.
Page 4, number 3, section C.
Mm-hmm.
So how I read this, the municipality shall use good faith efforts to protect and enforce the exclusive rights of a company through appropriate ordinances and enforcement. So then I read further against third-party violators, which would be another company more or less servicing a resident. This is how I'm reading this. You can tell me if I'm incorrect. So then it further states, including but not limited to seeking injunctive relief, and the municipality shall use good faith efforts to cooperate in such proper non-frivolous enforcement actions brought by the company. My question would be to Waste Management, could the township be held liable for the company's loss of revenue if another company was servicing residents and Waste Management's like, hey, I have this exclusive area now because you haven't been, no one's contacted the township per se to say, hey, my neighbor is using a different company, but now Waste Management has now lost revenue. I'm just asking if that was a possibility.
The provision later on in the agreement that talks about remedies under default. So let's say that you were enforcing your single hauler ordinance and allowing other companies to come in. Their remedies that would be a default of your agreement. And their remedies under default, specifically.
What page are you
exclude-
looking at?
So page,
11, I think, right?
page 11, paragraph 7.
Mm.
So this section talks about what a defaulting party has to pay, which includes damages caused by the default, but it excludes consequential, indirect, punitive, or special damages, and lost profits are considered a special damage. But I actually, and I just sent this to you there, I actually specifically added the term lost profits in there already. So. if you
Okay.
default,
And I'm reading, so through this, when I have a question, then it's kind of coming clear in a different location. Maybe not so much, but then I go back, so I guess this is the way a contract is.
Right.
A very detailed one that overlaps itself. Okay, so another thing that made me feel a little icky was,
Page? What page?
oh, I'm sorry, collection services, number 4, page 4, for the containers.
Oh, okay.
So there are costs there's no cost for the first container. Am I correct? But there'll be a
Correct.
cost
They
for
will,
the second?
they will, if you want you get a trash and a recycle free of charge, should you choose to have trash and recycle curbside. If you want 2 trash cans,
You'll pay
There'll
for
be-
the second one.
you pay for the second.
Is that a one-time fee?
No, that's
It's a
your
monthly
monthly
fee?
bill, yeah.
And then it says, as it goes further, you know, if somehow it's damaged or wear and tear, then the resident will have to purchase another can. And when I think of wear and tear, there's gonna be a lot of wear and tear. Okay, number one, the weight of what you're putting in the can.
Mhm.
But I assume they're using the automatic arm, so that is gonna damage the can over time too. So that I wasn't very comfortable with now the resident being charged for cans. And then if in the end, and then of course, if it's stolen, then all of a sudden the resident has to buy a can. I don't like that either. But then it states company will own containers provided to service recipients hereunder. And service recipients shall empty and allow company to retrieve their can, which is great because it's their can. Are they gonna be given back their money that they've spent on these cans?
Oh, the
I'm just
resident?
asking.
If a resident has to buy a can,
Correct,
I doubt that.
okay. And,
I don't know if we're gonna get them to waive that though. I mean, cause I'm just even talking about, I used to live in Ann Arbor and it was $85 to replace a can, it was.
Yeah.
I think it's so routine for them
Okay.
that you get the first one free and then if you need a new one,
Yeah.
I think they may not. So we'll ask, but they may say no.
and then 192 pounds for a 96-gallon cart, that would be page 6. Section E, overweight containers.
Mhm.
Is that 192 pounds of trash in the can? Or would that be, a can is 40 pounds easily?
No, that's the
Not that
amount
anyone's
that,
probably weighing
that's
their
the
can.
weight of the can, because that's what the arm,
That's what it will, okay,
Total.
all right. I'm just skimming through really quick,
Because
things
they-
that really stood out. Okay, when it comes to,
Tell us where you are.
page 7, public outreach,
I'm sorry, what page? Page
Mhm.
7?
public outreach.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I take this, Dexter Township will be responsible for getting out the message for education and outreach through electronic mail and paper mail. Will that be on Dexter Township as well for paper postage time?
We said we would do that.
We said we would do
But-
some and they would do some.
Yeah. But we want them to coordinate with us, their public outreach, so this was something that Bodman did raise, like, do we want to take on this responsibility? But we feared giving over control of that to them.
Yeah.
We felt that we wanted to be in charge of the public education.
Okay.
We feared that they may not.
And it will cost us some
Yeah,
postage.
yeah,
and-
and it will cost, but it's not,
have
it
to
won't exceed
educate.
our budget.
Yeah, we did include in the budget, extra mailings and I believe single hauler was one of the issues that we.
So
singled out.
it's gonna be a big education process.
Absolutely. Which takes me above that to non-performance.
Mhm.
This is something that
Page right here.
the same page,
7.
page 7, right above
Okay.
public outreach. So this weighs on my mind heavily because I've seen every garbage company commingle when they shouldn't. Whatever the issue is, it's still not acceptable to me. So my question is, if a non-performance occurs, can Dexter Township void the contract? Or if it's a continuation and
Yeah,
people
that-
see them throwing, recycling and garbage and,
That's one of the, on our yellow highlights, like, we need to come up with a way that we can implement back. We need a process to implement back damages from waste. We don't have that process built yet.
But
Okay.
Michelle, I would say that what I think I've learned in this process is that recycling is often highly contaminated.
Mhm.
And that contaminated recycling is trash. And so when a resident says, I saw them throwing a recycling bin into the trash, we don't know by seeing that action that the waste management, that the hauler is at fault in that case, because it could be that the recycling is contaminated and they are protecting the rest of the recycling by not putting
Putting it in
the
their
contaminated
recycle truck.
recycling in with the clean recycling. Because the hauler wants the recycled matter because they monetize that, they
Yeah.
sell it. But what they don't want is to and so they don't want to contaminate their trucks.
And when they flip the lid, they have cameras on their trucks that can look into cans. And if that can is if that can is a recycling can and it's contaminated, it's not gonna go in the big
Yeah.
recycling truck.
And if somebody
will
makes
stop
a
it.
complaint to us about it, then we can look at the video and we can see.
Yeah.
We can see, and if the recycling was not contaminated and the driver made an error, then they pay the liquidated damages. If the recycling was contaminated, then the homeowner will receive a notice that they made an error, and eventually that will escalate.
I just want to,
Prefer them not to take it at all then.
Yeah, if they see that it's contaminated before it doesn't get picked up.
I want to pull us back to the contract review though, because we will have
Yeah.
plenty of time for the policy discussion around it too. So what are as we go through the things that we would either want changed or that we need clarity on the contract language?
K, same page, page 7, compliance with laws. I was just wondering if you can elaborate on what applicable law for collection services adopted by the county of Washtenaw, approved by the state of Michigan entails?
I'm looking at Sarah, I mean. I
I
do
don't know
believe that
Washtenaw
every
County
contract
laws.
says that the contractor has to perform in compliance with the laws, but I think that's.
You're a plethora of laws.
Yeah. Yeah.